My name is Sammy Mwongera. Fun fact about me, I love adventure. I love trying things that live on the edge. Like, I like doing what I'm told, people are told not to do. That's what I like doing. And I love talking. I love interacting with different cultures, different people. I love just getting to learn. I believe everyone has something to offer that I don't have, and it's always intriguing to know people's different personalities, different experiences and stories. Yeah, so nachokozanga. Kuchokoza means to nab a bit. I used to ride a bicycle when I was young. All the years of my life, I used to compete in the Sprite Obey Your Thus competitions. So I loved to do scramble wheelies and all that. I always wished, but my inspiration came from my sister, who I saw ride. That was in 1994. She got a job that with the United Nations that required her to ride. So when she came with a bike, I was like, wow, there's this bike with something called a motor. So later I learned it's a motorcycle. But started off in 2001 when I was training how to drive. And then I also learned how to do a motorcycle. But when going to university, I used to borrow my friends' bikes. I said one day when I afford, I will, So came back in 2010 fully. And started off back with a scooter when I came back. That after convincing my wife, obviously, who didn't like motorcycles. So I used to tell her they're not good, they're not healthy, they're not safe, it's not good. Those guys who are riding them are not sober. But I just wanted to get out of the box. Then after that, we can consider other discussions. So after that happened, I bought a scooter so that I could buy diapers when I'm working. I was in Sitam then as a youth pastor. So yeah, I came back and started with the scooter. Then I formed one of the largest clubs in Kenya, which later led to the formation of all the clubs that we have in the country. The system of Nyumba Kumi. I was the president and started that. Later became the Private Bikers Association of Kenya, president. Since now I serve in the board and represent Kenya in the FIM as the leisure and touring director. So all my life really has been circled. I also run a courier company, which is motorbikes. I also have a training school for kids, which is again motorcycle. So I discovered motorcycle was my purpose. And over the years, I've been a chaplain for all the bikers in the country. We do prayer days and I do formal and informal counseling. So for me, I would say my life is neat around motorcycling, and I'm also part of the Around Africa team. Yeah, and I was also part of the Ride 47 in 2017. We circumnavigated the Kenya, visiting all the children who are beneficiaries of the LOGOS. So for me, in a nutshell, I've owned close to 9 bikes in my, kept changing bikes, getting to discover. And right now I'm in my bike, which I love. It was my dream bike, which I've ridden from South Africa to Kenya last year when I flew to get it, among many other stories. So yeah, that's my biking side. My family side, I'm married to Susan, one wife who is a female, and we are blessed with 2 wonderful boys. We ride together. They are my coaches in my training school. I pay them daily, so they're good. They love riding, and I'm not so sure. Maybe one I forced them because I'm the parent, but one of them I think would ride later like me, and do the things that I never got as a child. So they are 11 and 8 years, and we ride with them. The younger one started at 4. We've been riding with them 4 years during COVID. So yeah, they're enjoying motorcycling as well. In addition to that, I'm a business person. I run 4 companies. I work 3 days. And then I volunteer 2 days, not paid by church, but since 2016, when I transitioned from CITAM, I have worked 3 days and volunteered 2 days to serve the bikers in the country. So that's how I've been the emergency contact. And bikers, I've been there for bikers in the country, and I'm happy that now I've stepped down to see other younger leaders pick up and lead, and I serve more as an advisor. But I love riding. I'm in many groups, and when I ride for therapy, I ride to catch up with my soul. For me, being a pastor, being a businessman, I'm so busy. So when I'm on my bike, I listen to podcasts, I listen to songs. And for me, when I ride out, it's a new environment that gives me so much therapy. So that's who I am. I've ridden over close to 15 years now. I've done quite some epic adventures. This is a bit hilarious, but hope you'll be ready for it. One day, we did a ride with my friend, one of my best friends in riding, and we did Maral. Then the road was never tarmac, so it was all off-road terrain. My auntie is there, so we visited her, and when you go to your auntie, feeds you very well and packs for you things for the road. So when we coming back to Nyahururu, then going to Nairobi, it's in the bush, in the bundus. So there's a mountain on the other side. It's raining. The other side is not. So as we're on the side not raining, we didn't know the other side was raining. So we even camped, had our lunch, picked stories about zebras, took photos with giraffes, not knowing it's raining on the other side. So suddenly we saw the clouds change, and water started flowing from the hills down to where we are. So we're like, whoa, we have now to do 50 kilometers off-road, and the road was not tarmacked, and the road was being repaired. So it was one of the toughest. But as I started riding, my stomach started crumbling. And, in the bush, you have to be like animals. So I got to the bush to help myself. And as that experience was ongoing, I saw an eyes looking at me in a manner suggesting, if you stay longer, I'll come for you as a meal. So I finished very fast, and on off-road, you might ride at a speed of maybe 5, 10. I was able to do 50 because, so for me, some things are, I say this is a thin line between foolishness and courage. If you make it, everyone wants to be courageous and be like you. But if you don't, guys were asking, surely, why were you doing all this? Like, what do you gain? What if you lost your life? So for me, that's the fun about adventure. Like, you get to experience things that you'd never experience. You get to, just have fun. At least I know how hyena looks, how it behaves. When I watch them on Nat Geo, it reminds me of this. I would never want to get back to such a station. And even if my stomach, so the lesson there, I learned to carry a drug called Imodium when you do adventures, so that in case you eat something and your stomach has an issue, Imodium, I'm not a marketer, but Imodium stops it immediately. So for me, the worst situation is to ever have a stomachache if you're riding in the middle of nowhere, especially if it's raining and it's off-road. Yeah, I did manage to ride in 2014, but 2016 I think I did Botswana. Last year I've done rides all over East Africa with different groups, but I'll probably talk more about the Ride 47. Yeah, Ride 47 was a tall order. For the first time, we divided the country into legs, into like phases, and we had the first leg covering the coast, the other one Mount Kenya, the other one, different legs. So I participated in, I think, 2 or 3 of them. one of the challenges was balancing work and being able to attend the ride. Because sometimes I would be there are guys who are constantly on the ride. So it was, you plan yourself, and when you're available, you join them where they are and catch up with them and ride with them. Sometimes you'd get that conflict of, am I able to catch up with them? Because again, you miss some parts. So work-life balance. Second is sometimes would go places where it's rainy and you have to, but one challenge was we did a Njambini route that was so cold. Subukia, it was so cold. I had not prepared with the proper gear for that, and I was talking when I'm quiet. My mouth was just moving, and you're there on the helmet just talking and shivering. Yeah, I think that was a turning point for me. I learned it's good to have proper gear and to prepare. I just joined in a ride and I'd not thought about the weather condition. So sometimes there it can get extremely hot, but I never got to an extreme cold. That place called Engineer Njambini can get very cold. Yeah, and slippery as well. So for me, that is the weather change. Yeah, but other challenges, I would say they were not really challenges, but just asking yourself the privilege that God gives you to be able to have discover your purpose and use your purpose to bring glory to His name, because we visited schools with Kubamba, with the K crew, and they would do their thing of music, and then would be given slots to advise them or to directly talk with the beneficiaries of, and a few words of encouragement, the impact that brought, that would see them become so emotional. Like, these guys are out here in their busy schedules, just for me, that more than just raising money and, supporting us. For me, it bridged the gap between doing it for the sake of doing it and connecting with the person. And you see the environment in their school, some of them are very performing very well, very highly disciplined, and we would have a card where we would write. And so for me, it's not really a challenge, but that emotional aspect of sometimes money is not important until you find use for it. So when you see that money enabling a child go to school, for me, that was, there were emotional moments. For me, like, I may not have invested money in buildings, but I've invested in a life that can give birth to another life. For me, handling that, I would reflect and be encouraged to say anything that I can do to, make this child finish their formal education, And the most challenging thing is when you hear stories where someone starts and then there are no finances in between, and then they have to stop. And I love what the LOGOS Scholarship Fund has done now, that before they sign you up for scholarship, they must have the whole amount. And that's one thing that has excited me. They have come up with a whole budget of maybe 300 and something, I think 80 or something, so that if you have that, you are sure this child, as you come into the program, you actually go through the whole program. So when we increased our number by 501, the 2014 team that rode South Africa had targeted 499. So in 2017, we increased the number from 499 to 1,000 by adding the 541. So we were riding for 501. We wanted to increase the numbers in the scholarship fund. So I'm happy that now we are creating an endowment fund that we don't, even if we don't ride. So we took a break so that we could prepare ourselves for this long journey we're about to embark on. And so even if we don't ride, we are so sure close to 50 or more will always access education because of the endowment fund. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Education is important to me because for me, sometimes you may not end up doing what you've learned, especially in the African continent. You start using your education maybe when you're in your 30s or 40s because there are no jobs and all that. But for me, education is an open door. You get an open door and exposure. You meet different cultures, different people in high school, in campus. That just changes even how you dress, how you talk. But if you never went to school, there's a pure difference, in exposure level. So one is exposure. Second, personally, I went through a bit of a challenge in my university where I had a scholarship of pharmacy in the US, and I got God's calling, and I had to go to a theological school, and my family had not comprehended how I could do that. So I did work scholarship. I washed utensils to be able to pay for my school fees. That's when I realized how education is important and the cost for it. I grew up in a very good family and I never struggled, but when I was doing the work scholarship, everyone would leave the dishes. That was in Park University, and I'd wash all the dishes. Sometimes would close school and guys would go on holiday, and I would be left cutting grass so that all the monies that I make would go to my school fees. But the bulb came on when in my second year, someone anonymous to date paid my old tuition to the point I cleared campus. And I went one day to the accounts. I used to pray a lot. People thought I was a prayer warrior, but it was problems because if I didn't pray, man, there would be no school fees. So anyway, I didn't stop praying, but I used to cry to God because I actually knew if God doesn't come through, I have no other way to survive. So that experience where someone had to pay for me school fees, and to date they said they didn't want to be known, so I stopped washing dishes. I concentrated in class, and I got a very good GPA because then I was focused and I was able to establish myself. So for me, just that thought that someone can enable another person, empower another person, I decided to always pay it forward. So whenever anything that is about education, I can sacrifice my time, I can sacrifice my resources to see someone enabled. And I pray that they will also do the same because, again, there are many factors that would cause one to not be able to access education. One of them is financial challenges, which is common. Health and other issues, sometimes there are many other ways to sort. But finances, can just make a life not live fully what God intended it to live. So for me, I'm doing this because I know even if it's one or two, they will change many lives. And if it's paid forward, we'll revolutionize our country and Africa so that we stop just depending on aid, and we can support each other, even in our own context. It doesn't need much, just a little that you can give, just like someone sacrificed and made an impact with me. One of the things that overcoming that situation shaped my life is I learned to appreciate the small things. It made me a bit humble. I think I never seen in my life after high school being in a place where I would have to depend on others for me to be able to make it. So you can just imagine you're in class with people, but they leave you washing their utensils. So, and to date, in my family, I don't know how to cook so well, but I know how to wash utensils. Like even if we have a bash at home, they all know. And that's something funny. Everyone eats to wash utensils, but I can wash even for 200 people. Like I can just singing and clean the kitchen. Like I love cleanness. So for me, I would say it's taught me to recognize that God will take you through different things so that you can fit in different situations. Like now I can fit in a high level hotel, I can fit in a low. I can also do camping. Like it's not the price of things, but it's a value of things. So for me, I think the shaping that it helped me to understand the value of things, not the price of things. So I'm not, just because I wash utensils or maybe because someone is going through a few challenges right now, doesn't mean they're not valuable. It's a temporary situation. And that's why for me, I would encourage anyone, help a house manager. Personally, I would say like my house manager, I have paid for a school fees for a child for next 1 year. I told God, if you help me and pay my school fees, I'll be able to give forward. So I said, before I go out and pay for others who I don't know and I'm not with, I just said I would trust God. And, so for me, that has just brightened our face as well. When I meet the child, she's brightened. So if God has blessed you slightly with more, it's not, you don't have to just put in, even if it's 2,000 or 3,000, and you never know what you might be doing to a family. I'm a pastor. Probably I'll be preaching, yes. But more than that, I've also grown to I represent Kenya in the FIM. So in Kenya, I'm also head of the Beyond Sports. What that means, to break it down to simplicity, is anyone who is doing motorcycling, I'm in charge of safety. I'm in charge of discovering routes. So one of the things that are in the team, I'm hoping I'm the route master. I know different countries. I know at least in all the African countries, we have coordinators and we have leaders who I work with. Tanzania, South Africa, all these guys are my friends and we do things together. They tour Kenya, I tour other countries as well. I fly in, get a bike. So I'm hoping to create a sensitization and awareness of the LOGOS Scholarship Fund, where they can actually fundraise in their own countries, so that when we are passing through every country, they will receive us into the country, escort us, and exit with us and hand us over to the next. So that way we'll create an awareness about our culture of biking. It's not just about leisure, it's not about a show off of our bikes. It's we are using our experiences to give back and to give to the next generation. Yeah, so for me, my experience is basically I'm social. I have been a leader for many years in the biking fraternity. Therefore, I would help. I'm trusting God. I'd help in every country that when we start the online campaign, that in different countries they'll be able to give before, during, and even after we complete our journey. In Africa, we have national bodies. We have different biker groups, but they are national. They don't do things beyond another border. But interesting is, I saw Pastor Nick. I've known Pastor Nick for many years, and he was a founder, chairman before me. And I've worked with him in the motorcycle. In fact, he was a founding chair, and I picked up from him, and I've done with him Ride 47. And when he turned 50 and he wanted to do something, I turned 40 and I wanted to do something that's a milestone. And then I think the capture is, I've seen people come from Europe, people come from all other continents and circumvent Africa, but I've not heard of African riders doing that. So being a part of the 5 core team riders who will actually be the first to do this, for me was a challenge. I was like, I've done South Africa, I've gone up, down, but I've never done Angola, I've never done Senegal, I've never done Morocco, I've never ridden in the desert. Yeah, so for me, I was like, doing it alone is very challenging. It's very expensive. You don't have the time. So this for me was quite a challenge. And I think for me, I said earlier, I love challenges and I love things that grow me. So for me, why is because the process of preparation will make me a better person. It's not actually the actual ride. Like now I've kitted my bike. I have had to make contacts with people I would never have known. I've read books about different countries. I would never have done that. I even know the menus in every country. I have an African map with a menu. So if you don't know what this guy is eat, you can go and try and do those. I have learned so much. I've watched drills. I can tear my bike apart. At least I know how to repair my bike. I can service my bike. Like I am ready because I'm just imagining, when you are told you are all alone, like there is no help from BMW here, you're all alone. So for me, it's a challenge. But as I do this, I would be answering the question, why are you doing this? And my why is there are children who are benefiting as I do this. As I sweating through the desert, as I push my bike on mud, as I fall on the mud, as I at times go without food, at times I intimidated at border crossings because sometimes you're so tired, you have no place to sleep, you have no SIM card, you have no data. It's quite an experience. You are frustrated, people have a mindset of Kenyans, all that. So, but lastly, I'm an ambassador of Kenya. As I do this, I hope that every country will get to know more about Kenya and learn about Kenya through me. For me as an adventure rider, Extreme Point I've covered several times 1,000 kilometers a day. But on the list, I plan with 500 kilometers. So on the first phase of our journeys, we are covering 400 to 500. But as we get on, because our energy levels will also go down, our kilometers are 250 to 300 a day. That is, you wake up, ideal environment, you wake up at 5 a.m. and leave by 6 and ride for 4 to 5 hours. That's like here to Mombasa. And now break it down, 460 to 500. Then get to that town, set your bikes, change, and enjoy the culture there. And have some time to catch up with family, have some time to catch up with work for us who are working. So for me, I think the fatigue in terms of preparation, I think most of us are ready. Personally, I'm ready because like yesterday, I left Busia border, Uganda, came last week, I was in Arusha. I almost went Babati, so I'm used to covering 500. So for me, I started preparing this from 2017, that one day I would be an adventure rider. And so when you cover that way, you're never tired. When you cover 500 a day, a consistency in kilometers, you also have some margins with the border crossing, and you don't ride under pressure. Then you just need to keep a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. So when you do that, I think the journey, the challenging points is the border crossings and the different weather patterns that you don't know. And maybe, you can't plan for everything. Just mentioned, for me, my experience is who I become after this. I don't know. But one thing I know is I'll not be the same, because I'll meet different situations. I'll meet different people. I might change my food, my liking for my diet. Maybe now I love pilau, I'll be saying, I love Nigerian food. And I want to be going to our Ethiopian food, I'll also be able to see things that I've never seen, things that I've read in history. I'll be able to experience cultures. I'll be able to understand why people do what they do. And I think I'll be a better person because I'll judge people from their lens, not from my lens as a Kenyan. And I'll understand people's culture, diversity, And I believe that unity in diversity, like we don't have to be the same. So for me, I'm looking forward to be a better person, more experienced, and probably later the experiences again in this trip, they will shape my life. I might be a tour expert for guys who want to know more about Kenya. People want to go out and maybe visit these countries or ride like me. Like my simple experiences riding from South Africa, I've helped so many. I buy bikes there, I've helped so many. Like last week, I escorted a guy who was going to Cape Town, So it's all pluses. There are no negatives. And even if there are negatives, God will overrule them so that the positives come through. So I'm excited because if everything is planned and to detail, then I know what to expect. But when it's an experience, I think I'm looking forward. For me, I would say LOGOS is a accredited and trusted institution. I've worked with them and I've seen the children. I've visited these children in 47 counties of Kenya. So I've seen the impact. I've had real-time experience and feedback from the beneficiaries. That was in 2017. And for me, you can give into many projects, but what I love about LOGOS is structured and there's accountability. And secondly, you are able to measure the impact of your finances. Like if you give to LOGOS, you are able to say, with this amount of money, this number of students have received education. But more than that, what we are doing as we ride, we are riding for 50 million to create an endowment fund that we are not only supporting at a one time, that this money, this kitty we are building will forever educate many, and life will go on and on. Many will be educated on and on. So support it because for me it's sustainable. It is a sustainability approach of social enterprise where we're not calling on people every time to raise funds. It's a one-time challenging concept, and that's why for me I'm doing it. So before the ride, during the ride, and after the ride post-production, I think this is somewhere you can give something, even if it's not much, whatever that God enables you. So I tell you, this is the right place. I'm doing this for these children, and then do it for the children. Do it and see that you have impacted lives and visit them. Maybe if you don't use a bike, use a car or a flight. Maybe you might be coming from Europe, you can do a jet tour and just visit and see the impact of this endowment fund. To donate, kindly use the details below on your screen, and whatever you give in secret will be rewarded in the open.